So it's the economy, stupid. You all remember that election pitch. Well, as the 2024 race heats up after the leading candidate on the Republican side is indicted on dubious charges at best, let's be honest, Biden is going to have to answer some very serious concerns of everyday Americans should he formally declare for re-election, as he has intended he might do. Now, the number one thing, why does stuff cost so much more? Well, here to discuss is author of The Money Queen's Guide and women's wealth expert. Jeez, I'm on fire today. Carrie Carbonaro, we appreciate you coming in and joining us today. All right, so let's kind of back up. Inflation under Trump, for his total 4 years, was 4%, so 1% a year. Biden, under 2 years, is over 15%, and that stuff's not coming back down. How did we get here?
Oh, that's such a loaded question.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think spending and giving money to people to not work and giving money to businesses to not open was a start of it, right? And then the whole COVID shutdown.
Yeah, who could have possibly seen that coming?
No, okay. I mean, that is one of the reasons, one of the main reasons we got here. Then, of course, you've got, the Fed with 9 interest rate increases, and we are just drowning in what's happening with the SVB crisis and everything that's going on. But let's go back to consumers and how they feel about the rising prices. So if you think about the just basic things, housing, the most important thing that people need to have, right? Rent increases are crazy, but what's most important right now is mortgage rates.
Yeah.
So mortgage rates have more than doubled. So, a year and a half ago, you could have got a mortgage for 2 to 3%, and now you're looking at 7% and rising. So that is a major issue, because how can you pay 3 times the amount for housing if you're going to? So that's another whole issue, because now people are not moving; they're staying put because they can't.
They can't sell their house for the price that they used to be able to sell just last year. And this is something that we're looking into. I mean, we're in Washington D.C. and in New York, the real estate market hasn't been affected that much. How do you see this? Because we do see that it's spotty. There are some areas of the country where these mortgage rates are really hitting the housing market hard, and then other areas where it doesn't seem to have much of an effect yet.
Right. Well, it's mainly supply and demand. That's really what's happening. And I actually did a segment on Newsmax last week talking about, which is so interesting, the difference from East Coast to West Coast right now. I don't know if you guys know what's going on with that, but West Coast is down double-digit year over year. Silicon Valley, San Francisco, negative 10%. Florida, Orlando, Miami, up 10%. That's never happened before, year over year. The difference between the dichotomy between East and West.
Is that just because people are moving out of California and migrating to more red states with better taxes, better economic policies?
Better governors.
Better governors.
Florida's number 1, Texas number 2. Exactly.
Right.
So, the freedom states, and that's where they're going. So, and also the fact that, during the pandemic, people didn't have to work in these big, expensive cities, so you're seeing that happening as well.
Right.
People are really, really, really relocating.
I want to talk about what you mentioned on housing. Housing is the fundamental sliver of American markets. I mean, you have, what was it, 20% of the global exchange or the national exchange is on housing.
Right.
So when you have a 4% interest rate bump from the Fed, that costs you, the consumer, like 30% more a month in payments.
Well, and speaking of the number 2 thing, which is, people, how you have to get to work, you have to have a car, right?
Right.
So now the average car payment has hit over $1,000 a month. Who is paying $1,000 a month for a car?
Yeah.
Everyone now. If you go to get a new car, this is what's really hurting
Not to mention
Americans'
the
budgets.
cost to fill it up.
Right.
Well, we haven't seen consumer spending dip off that much, right? Retail, everything is still doing well, but what we have seen is an explosion in credit card debt.
Yes.
That people are putting more on their credit cards.
Right.
So tell us about that with rising interest rates, the dangers of...
It actually makes me lose sleep at night, because, again, if you go back only a year, maybe a year and a half, credit cards were about 8-9%. Now they're over 20 and climbing. Oof. So these people that used to pay, just the minimum, which there's a large percentage of this population that just pays the minimum. I'm just super worried about what's going to happen for these people who are, Also, you got to remember we also have student loan relief, so they're not paying their student loans. So by the summer, they're going to have to start paying their student loans. Where are they going to get all this money?
Well, I have a prediction on the student loan thing, which I think that there was a whole Biden debacle. They knew it was going to get struck down. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to hold student loan payments indefinitely. Until throughout the 2024 election, so Biden can stand there and say, if Republicans get elected, they're going to make you start paying your student loans again.
Yes,
I think that's a good.
You're probably right. It is going to be a political piece, but it's super sad.
Yeah. And it doesn't bode well for the future. Everyone says we're not technically in a recession. The economy is still doing well. Consumers are still buying things. Right. However, they're stacking up a lot of debt that is going to become due here eventually.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, it's going to be something to follow. Carrie Carbonaro, we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.